July the 8th, 2022. Guys, you've been watching our videos and other people's videos about this intense heat, drought, lakes drying up, rivers drying up, farms drying up, lawns drying up, intense sunburns. You can read comments under some of these videos we've been doing about this, and you'll see a lot of people are being affected. And I know friends and family that have had sunburns with incredible huge blisters on a normal outing where you maybe get a little burn, but nothing like this. And you'll notice other people are saying things like that too. We've seen the problem with our shields. We're in grand solar minimum, rising up into the peak area of solar cycle 25 in the next few years, but our overall patterns are down. The intensity of each solar cycle, which is 11.8 years, has gotten weaker. Even though you'll have peaks in that, the peaks are not as high as a cycle before, if you understand. And that creates weak shields and more radiation penetrating into the surface of our planet, and that's what we're seeing. You're looking at a map currently. This is 10:57 a.m. Central Time this morning. Let me look at my weather station behind me. Hold on. Now, the temperature is 87 degrees, but with the humidity, the real feel is 107. Now, again, 2 minutes before 11 a.m. this morning. And looking at the color codes in this current map, we've seen it before. We've got the orange, which is heat advisories, but this darker purple here, guys, is extreme or excessive heat warnings. You've got them here. You've got them in California and Phoenix area here. And it looks like there's some possibly around the Grand Canyon, northern Arizona. These are red flag warnings here. But what I want you to do, and you can do this easily, and you don't really have to sign up or anything, but what we're looking at is the National Weather Service, and it's weather.gov. Check this out, top left. See that? You can customize it, or you can just, without entering in any information there, just click on your area, like here in central Mississippi. And one of my huskies is wanting something. Bandit, what is it? I think the other husky booger has his bone or something. I'm not sure. They wait till I'm doing a video. But anyway, back to the video. What we're dealing with, again, excessive heat. I want you to click on your area here in central Mississippi. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to show you something. We'll go to Jackson, and within these larger maps, you can get a lot more information by clicking your area. And what's important today, and this happened to me years ago in a construction job that was outside. I had a heat stroke, and once that happens to you, they have to rehydrate you and all this stuff. The cramping is miserable, but you become weaker. In other words, are more sensitive to that heat quicker each time that it happens. And it's happened if you have a farm or you work outside and enjoy the outdoors. It's going to happen if you're not careful, but now it's worse than it was then. And what you're dealing with, this is central Mississippi. Jackson is in the center. You're going down to Hattiesburg here, and this is in this gold area, purple area, Greenville, Greenwood, Cleveland, down to Yazoo City. The red area is Winsboro and Bastrop, Louisiana, Vicksburg, Mississippi, and up through central Mississippi here. Now, on the right over here, things are really getting serious when they do this. It says extreme risk in the purple. That's this zone 4. High temps in the upper 90s and peak heat indices at 110 to 115 for several days. Heat stroke imminent with prolonged outdoor activity, and that can even be being in a vehicle that's not air conditioned. But guys, this is something you don't want to deal with at all. If you have friends or family that work in these areas, again, check your section of the nation. Then you make sure, if you can, text them or something. If you got water or you're hydrating, do you know there's a heat stroke is imminent with prolonged outdoor activity? And guys, that can kill you. If I hadn't have got to medical help over 30 years ago, I guess, very quickly, I wouldn't have made it. It was tough, and again, it makes you weaker each time, so you can deal with less exposure. And the sun wasn't this bad at that time, and we didn't have underground man-made machines collapsing our shields. Now in the red is significant risk, and with a peak indices at 110 to 115, heat stroke increasingly likely with prolonged outdoor activity. Now, it seems very close, but what they're talking about here for several days, and what happens is that heat builds. And when you're dealing with central Mississippi, over the Mississippi River, especially at Greenville, Vicksburg, Natchez, is that there's plenty of humidity, and that's really going to add to that factor. Also, Greenville, Greenwood, Cleveland, that is here's the puppies come again, I'm sorry. But that is where, that's called the Delta. We share it with Arkansas and Louisiana, parts of Tennessee. But that delta has built up over millions of years, but it's very low. When the Mississippi River floods or the Yazoo River floods, a lot of that land will flood with it. And but it's extremely rich cropland because of the flooding of the Mississippi River and the tributaries that flow into it. But that is flat and hot cotton land, soybean land for miles as far as you can see. Maybe it won't be a hill unless it's a levee on the side of a river, or if you've been up to any of the lakes north of Vicksburg, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's what we got here. We'll take a look at the maps, guys, but this is the point of the video. The purple area and the red areas, all of this is elevated risk. But when they're talking about imminent with prolonged outdoor activity concerning heat strokes, if you've never had one, you don't want it. If you have had it, you don't want to deal with this type of weather. If you are outside, make sure you get plenty of water and make sure you try to stay in the shade as much as possible. If you have to take off early, do it. I don't care if it makes your boss mad. It's not worth your life. Let them know that. If you've got a boss that is not aware of that factor, then you need another job. He obviously has never had this happen to him. But that's my warning today. I want to look at the overall map. But guys, remember what I said. If you're going to be in this area, take all precautions. If you can stay indoors, stay indoors. What a great time to take off. Remember, the next several days are involved. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, forget about getting on the lake. Forget about fishing. You're going to fry under this intense radiation, and you're not going to like what's happening. It's not going to be comfortable. Stay cool. Stay inside if you can. If you've got to get outside, stay in a pool or a river or a lake. And then get out and get in the shade. And this thing is not playing. And if you look at the very bottom, it says the combination of persistent heat and humidity will reach extremely dangerous levels through Saturday, especially across the northwest delta. That's in the purple. Heat indices will go from 105 to 110 degree range for the entire area we're looking at, while in the 110 to 115 degree range in the delta. Residents should avoid prolonged outdoor activity, stay hydrated, and take frequent breaks. Seek shade and air conditioning fans. Now this is looking at live satellite images combined with infrared over the continental U.S. and Mexico, Cuba, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, all the way down through the island chains there, Haiti. Now, there's not much moisture right now. You notice it's just up into the Mississippi River Valley below the Great Lakes right there. Not much anywhere else, and that's the worst possible scenario for a lot of the country. Lake Mead is slowed the drop rate somewhat, but that's because they have released more upstream from, I think it's Lake Powell up there, trying to balance it out. They were given a 60-day moratorium to try to balance everything out by the Department of Wildlife or whoever it is, maybe Bureau of Land Management. I'm not sure in that article, but they were giving a couple of weeks ago 60 days to try to balance some of this thing out, and the only way they're going to do it is quit selling these huge subdivision and commercial construction sites in Vegas and in Phoenix, places like that. And if people only knew by the time they got the bank loan to get it, they're not going to have water, they're going to have to migrate. It will become a ghost town area for many. But this is not a good scenario for what we need. Now, I'm not complaining personally. There's a little bit of rain if you look at the area between Mobile and Gulfport, Mississippi. And we've been getting a daily rain, even though light, not real stormy, almost consistently. And kept the gardens in very good shape. What a blessing. And I wish it would happen all over the world right now because many places need it, unless you're in a big flash flood area. But still, the land needs that moisture. Best scenario we can see right now, and it's going to take years and conservation to ever fill Lake Mead again, get Lake Powell back up and down below that in Havasu. But they're going to have to stop the massive construction. They're going to have to let the Colorado River do its thing for a while. And what would be great, you see these hurricanes that will come up into the Baja through Mexico and then push up through Southern California sometimes, and indeed you'll see it in Arizona, New Mexico, pushing up through the Four Corners and all the way over into Texas. That's what we need. It wouldn't hurt to have a tropical depression or two come through the Gulf and along the East Coast. Now is a critical time for farming. The diesel's getting hard to find. Fertilizer's getting extremely hard to find. Our oil reserves are being sold overseas as our oil prices rise. You need to look that up. About our administration is selling to China, and look who's involved. You'll recognize the culprits immediately. But anyway, we need that moisture. I want to take a look at the Atlantic situation now, Caribbean, see if there's any potential tropical activity that's there, because really that's about the only thing that's going to happen. There's not any natural storms building other than what you see here in the upper Mississippi River Valley. Now, looking at the wide Atlantic, this is not through the National Hurricane Center. Their satellite feeds are down again. I think some of the satellites are the same, but the feeds are down. You can see there's nothing showing in the Atlantic or Caribbean or the Gulf area at all. And you can go to the National Hurricane Center and look at the information, and they're not expecting any activity up for the next 5 days. That could change. We'll watch it. The high pressure over the Atlantic is one thing that's affecting it, and you can see sections of the Saharan sand layer here. Check that out. Saharan air layer, some people call it, but it's the dust off the African deserts that travels across. And so that will prohibit development also. Sand absorbs moisture, and the moisture from a storm developing will pull some of the sand out of the air into the water, but it also takes the strength out of the storm at the same time. We do see one small sections coming off the African coast. We don't know what that will do at all yet. We do need moisture over many parts of the planet. You can see the Saharan sand layer itself extends all the way up to north of the Canary Islands, where we watched the volcanoes there on La Palma earlier. But a lot of this distortion you're seeing here is actually because the satellite is directly over the central Atlantic. There's a bluer because of the curvature of the Earth. I know a lot of people don't like you to say the Earth is curved, but that's what we're seeing there. So guys, we're watching it. The main part of the video is the severe heat warnings, to where a heat stroke is imminent, and that could mean death is imminent. But it's also life crippling. You, like I said, you become more sensitive to any conditions like that. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.